In the last video, I used the College Student Athlete's Life Stress Scale as an example of a survey developed by other researchers that other researchers might want to use. As I mentioned, if we wanted to use the survey, we need all of the questions, and we need to know how the participants respond to those questions. We also need to know how to combine those responses to determine the participant's score for the measure. That information also helps us decide whether the survey is valid for our study. Ideally, we'll also be able to determine the reliability. But how do we go about finding that information? There are a few ways to go about that. We can look at the articles reporting on other studies that use the measure. We can use PsycInfo, and we can always use the internet. Looking at other studies that use the measure can give us a summary of what we need to know and help us find more information. For example, one measure that might be good for our project is the COPE inventory mentioned in the Chow article. This doesn't provide all of the items, but does say there are 60 of them. It also gives the response options and gives an idea of the scoring when it talks about the patterns of coping. The reliability information is also reported. Basically, it gives us enough information to know it's promising, so that we might want to look more at the full reference for the article they cite when they name the measure. We can use the reference in one article to find more information, starting with PsycInfo. In the case of the COPE inventory, the original article includes a table with the items and scales that they contribute to, and it's actually available for us full text. Skimming the rest of the article helps us understand how they established reliability and validity, but it doesn't give us as much information about how to compute scores. Given that, it would be nice to have the scoring information. It's worth the time to search the internet. In this case, the first result seems to be promising, and clicking on the link reveals it's what we're looking for. It explains the measure, including a copy of how it would be formatted when giving it to participants. Below that, the information that says scales, some items listed with no reversals of coding, explains how we compute scores by summing or adding up the responses to the questions for each of the scales. In this case, the page also provides another helpful piece of information, a link to a shorter version of the instrument. Following that link leads us to all of the details we need to use that shorter version, though they have the reference to the original article labeled as a citation for some reason. It isn't always this easy to find all of the information we need. Even when it is, we still have one more decision to make. Is it the right survey for our project?